Welcome back everybody to the channel. Today I'm talking about my draft experience from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty opening night draft, Friday Night Magic. I'm gonna go over what I drafted, which as you can see on your screen already is a white and green color combo. Some nice little lands over here, and just talking about how I drafted, why I drafted what I drafted, and then how my experience was in my 3 sets. So jumping right into it, pack 1, pick 1 was this Satsuki the Living Lore. Let's zoom in of it right there. If you want to read the card text, go and just pause the video, take a read. So when I packed this pack 1, I was like, okay, green and white, I don't mind playing those colors. You get a lot of flexibility with green, life gain with white. So I was hoping, maybe we get something good. This was my pack 3, pick 1 as well, right here. The Dragon Kami Reborn. So kind of worked off with my pack 1, pick 1 as well, with sagas, enchantments, trying to recur them, bring things back. So yeah, as far as why I drafted this way, I mean, I opened green white in my opening hand, or in my opening pack. So for the most part, once I was there, I was like, okay, like I want to build around this. I want to go this direction with my deck. So the other rares I ended up getting in this draft that were in this colorway were Weaver of Harmony, 1 to green enchantment creature, Snake Druid. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. So it works pretty well with the deck. I have a number of enchantment creatures in here that all benefited from the +1/+1 when they were able to. And then the only sorcery in this deck is this Invoke the Ancients. Zoom in here. If we want to read that, go ahead and hit the pause button. But create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens for each of them. Destroys a Visions counter, a Reach counter, or a Trample counter on it. I never actually drew this card in all 7 of my games that I played. I never drew this card, so take what you will from that. I wish I could have played it though. I think it really would have been a good bomb to get out 2 4/5s and give probably 1 Vigilance, 1 Trample, and always have a blocker up. Always have something they can get through if they block. So never actually got to play it, so a little upset about that, but it is what it is. So in this deck build, I went 9 forest right here. I use my Innistrad lands for the most part. So yeah, 9 forest. I went 6 plains, and then Blossoming Sands for 16 lands in a 40 card deck. I'm gonna go over the creatures first, and then we'll move on from there to vehicles, and then to artifacts, and so on and so forth. So for the creatures, Satsuki and Weaver of Harmony, 2 key pieces in this deck, of course. And then I'm gonna go green in terms of mana value, and then into white. I don't think I drafted enough creatures though. I think that's what got me. But also my pull, the person directly in front of me, so I was seat 1, the person in seat 8, also drafted in the same colorways. So that kind of affected me, because he was passing to me for 2 of our 3 packs, which means he would get first pick of anything coming from his side of the table. So that might have affected the number of creatures I was able to see. Well, it definitely affected the number of creatures that I was able to see. So Fang of Shigeki is the first one I took. Well, not the first one, but the first one I'm going to show y'all here. So just a 1/1 Death Touch enchantment creature. So works off of Weaver of Harmony over here. And then if this is on the field, this gets a +1/+1. A 2/2 Death Toucher. Pretty good little just piece of removal. Next up, Heir of the Ancient Fang. Snake Samurai, 2/3, 2 and a green. Heir of the Ancient Fang enters battle with the +1/+1 counter on it if you control the modified creature. We had some artifacts, some enchantments, those kinds of things. So we did have some of those in here. So for the most part, this was one of the guys that kind of helped me do some work in my draft last night. Jukai Preserver. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature I control. And that's anything that I control. So I was able to do a lot with this card. Really helped me out. I didn't cast it for its channel cost ever. And I don't think I would have, because as you can see, with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total creatures in my deck, I just didn't really have the opportunity to cast it for the channel cost. Greater Tanuki, a little bit of a bomb there. 6-drop, 6/5 with trample. Also would not cast this for its channel cost. Drafted this one. I wish I would have gotten maybe 1 or 2 more, just to be the big creature in the deck that has trample that can get through if need be. Spirited Companion, 1 white, enters the battlefield, draw a card. I mean, card draw, always important to have some. So that's why I picked that. Kitsune Ace, and I got 2 of these. So the reason I got 2 of these Kitsune Aces, Fox Pilot 2/2. Whenever vehicle you control attacks, choose 1. Either that vehicle gains first strike on a turn, or untap Kitsune Ace. So that being said, we're gonna go over to our vehicles that play off of these. So I drafted 4 total vehicles, 2 different ones. Dragonfly Suit is the first one. 2 and a white for artifact vehicle, flying, crew 1. So I could crew Kitsune Ace. I can crew Spirited Companion, Satsuki, Fango Shigeki. I mean, I could crew with my entire deck for this one, for this crew one. 3/2 flyer. I have 2 of them. So the plan was to get over people if they had blockers, get over them with these guys by crewing my little kind of just jump blockers. And then I had 2 brute suits as well. So this one here, 3-drop with vigilance into 4/3. This was more just because it was kind of like end of packs, and I needed to kind of fill out my deck. And I was like, you know what, if I can, let me grab a couple of these vehicles that can do some damage. So 4/3 vehicle, crew 1 for 3. They actually did pretty solid for me. I didn't mind using them. And then Kitsune Ace really does a lot for these and the Dragonfly Suits. So I would crew here, bring out either here or here, and then on the attack I would untap there, and if I had my other one, I would give one of them first strike. As far as the execution of the deck, I feel like it didn't execute the way that I thought it would. I don't think I had enough creatures, to be honest. I don't think I had enough damage, to be fair. I was hoping, you know, either fly over here, hit them for 4 here, or we go, like, we give +1/+1 counters, we can draw a card, we have Tanuki with trample. I was hoping that it would really work out, but for the most part, I didn't hit good draws. Maybe I should have taken out more lands, but even then, I feel like I didn't hit anything that I really needed. I only hit Tanuki once, and he was instantly popped. As I said earlier, I never actually drew Invoke the Ancients. And then Dragon Kami Reborn, I only drew it once. So I didn't really hit a lot of my draws that I wanted to hit. So that was pretty frustrating, but those are the creatures that I ran in this deck. But yeah, I feel like I struggled a bit with this deck. I thought it would do a lot better than what it did, and when it didn't, it was kind of frustrating. But like my first game, I lost to a hasty red and black deck, Rakdos. He had 2 of the bunny chargers, or the like bunny batteries, and he would just swing in with haste and do a lot of just small little damage. And I kept the 2-lander in that one, and in that 2-lander, I didn't hit a draw. Well, I didn't hit a land draw for 7 turns, so I was dead by then, by the way. So yeah, that happened, and then my game 2 in that set, I kept a 5-lander, and then my next 4 draws, I hit all lands. So it's Goes to show, you know, probably shuffle a little bit better. It's probably my fault, to be honest. So yeah, I was really hoping to fly over, ping them for damage. We have our guys who can block. We have our Death Toucher. We have, like, things that can do damage to get them in that spot. Tanuki, Ancients, things like this that I was hoping would work a little bit better, but it really probably didn't work the way that I thought it would. I think it's a good concept in my mind, but the execution didn't really work. So the other way I wanted to do damage was with Ninja's Kunai. So I took 2 of these artifacts, 1 to cast, 1 to equip, 1 to activate. So you can cast turn 1, get this out. Turn 2, I mean, you could equip turn 2 if you have a 1-drop creature. And then it's pay 1, tap this, sack it, deals 3 damage to any target. With 2 of them, I was hoping, you know, get both out, crack both, deal 6 damage to someone's face. Or as, like, removal. I did end up playing against a Satoru Planeswalker. So I did crack these to hit it and to just take it out of the game. That way it wasn't a problem. So my goal was to just pop these in someone's face to hopefully win for game if I got them low enough. Also in my game 2, I ended up with we were at 7 life and 6 life each. No. He had me down at 2. I had him at 7. I had Dragonfly Suit. And then the enchantment that I ran in this deck was Favor of Jukai. So I had him pumped with the +3/+3 in reach. So he was a 6. He had 7. I had a creature to crew him. And I top decked the land. And I hit him for 6. And lost on the next turn. So yeah, so the deck didn't execute the way that I wanted it to, but it happens. Things happen. So yeah, so those are the creatures and the vehicles. I thought they would synergize a lot better than they did, but they really didn't. So I'm a little bit upset about that. But the fact the person in front of me was also drafting the same colors really doesn't help me either. So, but lesson learned. Be ready to pivot, be able to pivot. Kunais, of course. Now we have our enchantments. Our sagas here. So I already showed y'all Dragon Kami Reborn. Never activate the backside of it, so there's that. Azusa's Many Journeys. You play an additional land this turn. You gain 3 life. Exile the saga. Then turn it to battle under your control. And the backside is if it gets blocked, you may untap 3 lands. Got it flipped once. My opponent never blocked it, so it never activated. Favorite Jukai that I just said. It's just a good +3/+3 pump. When I'm drafting, I look for a lot of these. So like when I was drafting Midnight Hunt a lot, I drafted Hunt a lot. I would go for like Sheltering Bows, which was I think it was like you like draw a card and it's like get +1/+3 or +3/+3, something like that. But I really like drafting those. Those are really fun to use. So that's why Favorite Jukai really stood out to me, is why I drafted it. Master's Rebuke for my removal. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power. Target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So I got 2 of these. I mean, for the most part, none of my creatures were 1/1s except for Spirited Companion. Satsuki had only 1 power, and Fang. But if Fang dealt damage, it would kill it because of Death Touch. But yeah, 2 of these for quick, just removal that can activate at instant speed. I think these are pretty good pickups. They worked pretty well for the most part, but I think my deck just didn't synergize well. And then the last couple of things that I got were these instants. Light the Way. Choose 1 ++1 counter on target creature or vehicle and tap it. Return target permanent control to its owner's hand. I ended up using both of these effects in different games. The return target permanent I control to its owner's hand. I did do that. It was a long chain to it that he ended up essentially blowing up the card that I was trying to bounce back to my hand after he tried to destroy it the first time. So it wasted a lot of his hand and like plays, but in the end he ended up countering it anyways. So like the way, I think was a good little, like, if you need it, it's a good little +1/+1 pump. If someone attacks thinking that you don't have blockers, you untap, put +1/+1 block. Usually you'll win that encounter. Regent's Authority, next card. Target uses +2/+2 at the end of turn if it's an enchantment creature or legendary creature. Instead, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gets +1/+1 to end of turn. So this one, another pump spell. That was my big thing. I like to pump things in draft. I like to gain life, and I like to, if I can, I like to hit them for like direct damage. It's a bit harder to respond to. And the last one was Repel the Vile. 3 and a white, instant speed. Choose one, exile target creature with power 4 or greater, and exile target enchantment. So I thought I would see a lot more bombs. I thought I would see a lot more like Greater Tanuki, things like this. Things that got +1/+1 counters. But I really didn't. So Repel the Vile was probably a bad pick for me. Because in all the games that I played, there was maybe one creature that had 4 or more power. And it was the, I want to say it was in red. And it was an artifact creature, and it was a 4/1. I don't like remember what it's called, but that was the only thing that I was able to hit with this. Exile target enchantment, I thought about it a few times, but exiling for 4 just wasn't ever really worth it. So I was kind of like, whatever. So this is kind of a dud in my deck, to be honest. I didn't see a lot of big creatures to exile with, using it. So yeah, so in review, set 1 I lost 0-2. Set 2 was a bye due to some people dropping out of the tournament. It was running a bit long. I did play another person that was on a bye though, and he 0-2'd me. My deck started really strong and then just kind of fell off in that kind of little like side set. So that was a bit upsetting. And then set 3, going into there, I lost game 1. My deck kind of fizzled out. Game 2 was a very long and drawn out game. It was probably a 25 to 30 minute game, just game 2. After game 1 being maybe 10 minutes. And I was going to end up winning that game. Well, I did win that game. I was able to grind it out and get that win. And then for game 3, he offered just a like gentleman's agreement. Hey, I concede to you. He didn't want to play the game he didn't want to play game 3 with the way that our decks had grinded out game 2. Due to the fact that it was already like midnight at that point. And if we played, we would have been playing until 12:30. Like 12:30 in the morning. So we didn't want to do that. He ended up conceding the match to me. So I like, this was one of the weirdest drafts. It was a huge draft at Coral Sword. And losing that first game, it was understandable. My deck wasn't very, I don't think it was greatly constructed. I think the idea of it was good, but the execution of it and kind of doing some misplays as well kind of affected it. And then on top of that, getting the bye kind of sucks. I really wanted to play someone, but I did end up playing someone, still getting a pack regardless. And then game 3, if we would have had the time and if we weren't both just burnt out and tired after playing all night already, I liked my chances. I felt like my deck was starting to like synergize very well. So yeah, it was a pretty good night. I liked what I drafted. I don't think it synergized well though. Next time I draft, I might look towards something different. But I still want to try this colorway again, but maybe with a little bit different things in here. Definitely more creatures for sure. Less vehicles as well. I feel like the vehicles kind of held me back having to crew things. So yeah, that's my thoughts on my draft experience. If you have any questions or any comments, concerns, tips for what you might have done with this deck or done differently. So also other things I drafted. Ancestral Katana, another favorite Jukai, Uncharted Haven, Rugged Highlands, 2 network terminals, This was because I was thinking about going 3 colors, so I did get Explosive Singularity, but it's really hard to cast, really hard. And then a couple of red, so I had to switch to red if I wanted to, but I didn't really feel the need to. So Explosive Singularity, Bronze Plate Boar, Tawashi Song Shaper, Cracking Emergence, 2 of those, Voltage Surge, 2 of those, Akai Warpaint, and then these are just end of draft picks that, I mean, I just kind of had to take because it just kind of happened that way. These weren't ever going to be used anyways. But yeah, there was a thought of switching to red at some point, but in the end I decided not to, just because I didn't think it would fit very well. But yeah, if you think that you would have switched to red, just go and drop a comment down below. I'll read it. I'll respond to you. Any kind of criticism, any kind of comments, responses are all welcome. I want to be better at drafting, of course. So yeah, if y'all would have done anything differently with the deck, if y'all think the deck looks good but just didn't run well, please say that as well. But yeah, this has been Freddy Inferno, and I've talked about my draft deck and experience at Coral Sword. And with that being said, I will catch y'all later.